Diane Keaton has never followed the crowd. She has always done things her own way. Over the years, she has become a Hollywood legend because to her iconic performances in films like The Godfather and Annie Hall, as well as her daring wardrobe choices and endearing eccentricity. Her professional life has been awash in success, but her personal life has remained shrouded in secrecy. For a long time, she remained silent about her personal life, which included her lack of marriage and settled-down status. At 79 years old, Diane has startled everyone with a deeply personal revelation. At last, she spoke clean about the one who had her heart from the beginning. Come with us as we uncover Diane Keaton's secret admirers and investigate her romantic history. A young girl with lofty aspirations. Los Angeles, California is the site of Diane Keaton's birth on January 5, 1946. Her given name was Diane Hall, nevertheless. Dorothy Deanne was the breadwinner in the family. Equally adored photography. Jack Hall, her father, was a civil engineer and real estate broker. Diane's paternal line was originally from Ireland. Primarily because of her mother, she grew up in a Free Methodist household. How her mother influenced Diane's aspirations was a common theme in her speeches. The limelight and stage fright captivated little Diane, while Dorothy went on to win the Mrs. Los Angeles contest. She wanted to take action at that moment. The actress Katharine Hepburn was another role model for Diane. Depicted strong, self-reliant ladies. Diane wanted to be just like that. In 1963, she completed her high school education at Santa Ana High. At that school, she was very involved with the chorus and theater programs. Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire was one of her major school roles. She briefly attended Santa Ana College and Orange Coast College to study acting after finishing high school. A year into her undergraduate career, she dropped out to follow her passion in the Big Apple. Because another actress went by the name Diane Hall, she was required to change her last name when she became a member of Actors Equity. Her choice was to adopt the maiden name of her mother, Keaton. Diane performed as a nightclub singer before she became famous. Annie Hall, And So It Goes, and even a cameo from her radio days all used elements from this formative encounter. She attended the local playhouse for real acting training after she arrived in New York. The Meisner technique was one of her styles, where the emphasis is on responding honestly to other performers. With the words, "I'm only as good as the person I'm acting with," Diane laid out her strategy. "No matter what, I can't do it alone." According to actor Jack Nicholson, Diane committed a feat that he seldom witnessed from other performers, whether on Broadway or in Hollywood. Remember full scripts before filming began. It was on Broadway in 1968 when Diane's career took off. Sheila, the lead in the musical Hair, cast her as her understudy. Diane became famous for her refusal to remove her clothing in a nudity-optional scene. Despite the $50 extra offered to those who agreed, Diane refused to budge. She went on to try out for Woody Allen's Play It Again, Sam, after 9 months of wearing a hairpiece. She was first considered to be on the tall side by the casting crew. She stood at 5 feet 8 inches, which was 2 inches taller than Woody Allen. But in the end, she got the part. Her performance earned her a Tony Award nomination for Best Featured Actress in a Play. Soon after, she made her movie debut in Lovers and Other Strangers in 1970. She also appeared in TV shows like Love, American Style, Night Gallery, and Mannix. At the same time, she acted in commercials, including one for deodorant. These smaller roles helped her build experience and confidence, but something much bigger was just around the corner. Her big moment came when she was cast as Kay Adams in The Godfather in 1972. She played the girlfriend and later wife of Michael Corleone, who was played by Al Pacino. Director Francis Ford Coppola saw Diane in Lovers and Other Strangers and thought her unique personality would bring something special to the role. At the time, Diane was known as the kooky actress in the industry. Diane said the role felt close to her real life, calling it the woman in a world of men. The Godfather became the biggest movie of the year and won the Oscar for Best Picture. Diane's part might not have been the biggest, but it was unforgettable. The Godfather again, and more Woody Allen. 2 years later, Diane returned to the role of Kay Adams in The Godfather Part 2. At first, she didn't want to do it. She said, "At first, I was skeptical about playing Kay again in The Godfather sequel. But when I read the script, the character seemed much more substantial than in the first film." In this movie, Kay's character changes. She becomes more bitter and upset with Michael's growing criminal empire. While some critics felt her character didn't stand out, others disagreed. Time magazine called her invisible, but Empire magazine said Diane was the quiet linchpin in a male-dominated story. Whether praised or not, Diane held her own in one of cinema's most powerful films. While working on The Godfather, Diane also continued her partnership with Woody Allen. She had already won praise for Play It Again, Sam, and now she joined him in more films. These included Sleeper in 1973 and Love and Death in 1975. These movies showed off her gift for comedy. She had a natural, offbeat charm that made people laugh without trying too hard. But her biggest moment with Woody Allen was still to come. In 1997, Diane starred in Annie Hall, a romantic comedy that changed everything. The film was a huge success and won her the Academy Award for Best Actress. Her role as the quirky, stylish, and lovable Annie made her a household name. The film also showed off her real-life sense of fashion, which became a trend. Annie Hall wasn't just another comedy. It became part of pop culture, and Diane's performance made it timeless. More serious roles, and still making us laugh. After Annie Hall, Diane proved she could do more than just comedy. In 1907, she played a darker role in Looking for Mr. Goodbar. The next year, she starred in Interiors, a serious drama by Woody Allen. She kept moving between comedy and drama, always showing a new side of herself. In 1981, she played activist Louise Bryant in Reds, a historical film that got her another Oscar nomination. Diane never stopped working. In the 1980s and 90s, she played all kinds of characters, from a woman facing heartbreak in Crimes of the Heart, 1986, to a successful businesswoman turned mom in Baby Boom, 1987. She showed great range. In 91, she starred in Father of the Bride alongside Steve Martin. The movie was a hit, and she returned for the sequel in 95. In 93, she appeared in Manhattan Murder Mystery with Woody Allen again, proving their chemistry never faded. Her role in Marvin's Room in 96, where she played a woman battling leukemia, earned her another Oscar nomination. She continued to shine in the 2000s. In Something's Gotta Give, 2003, she played a playwright who falls in love later in life. That role also brought her another Oscar nomination. Diane kept the audience laughing and crying, even in her later roles like The Family Stone, 2005, Finding Dory, 2016, and Book Club, 2018. Diane Keaton built a career that never followed one path. She went from quirky and funny to deep and emotional and everything in between. From the school stage in Santa Ana to standing on Oscar night, Diane has always stayed true to herself. And behind the camera, her personal style, bold choices, and honest voice have made her one of Hollywood's most respected stars. But while her career has been full of variety and success, Diane's personal life has followed a path just as unique. In fact, one of the most talked about parts of her story has nothing to do with movies at all. Diane Keaton's romantic life. Diane Keaton has always stood out in Hollywood. With her unique fashion and funny, anxious charm, she became one of the most loved stars of the 1970s. Her style, often inspired by menswear, made her unforgettable. She always seemed a little different, in the best way. That same charm followed her off-screen, too. While many expected her to settle down, Diane never married. But that doesn't mean she didn't fall in love. Over the years, she dated some of the biggest names in the business. These relationships were full of strong emotions, deep connections, and also heartbreak. One of the most well-known people in her life was Woody Allen. Diane met Woody in 1969 when she starred in his play Play It Again, Sam. Their romance began after a late-night dinner following rehearsal. Woody was drawn to her sense of humor. They moved in together for a while, but by the time the film version of the play was released in 1972, their relationship had become more casual. Even though they didn't stay together as a couple, their bond remained strong. Diane became his muse, appearing in 8 of his films between 1972 and 93. These included the 1997 hit Annie Hall, which won her an Academy Award for Best Actress. Diane spoke about her feelings for Woody years later. Even when Woody faced controversy later in life, Diane stood by him. She described him as one of her closest friends and continued to speak fondly of their time together. Their story wasn't about a happy ending in the romantic sense, but it was still a kind of love that shaped both their lives. Al Pacino, the one she was mad for. While Woody Allen was a deep emotional connection, it was Al Pacino who stole Diane's heart in a very different way. Diane met Al on the set of The Godfather in 1971. She played Kay Adams, his love interest in the film. But off-screen, their real love story didn't begin until they worked together again on The Godfather Part 2 in 1974. That's when things between them became romantic. Diane admitted that from the very beginning, she was taken with Al. She once said in an interview, "I was really very taken with Al from the very beginning." But their relationship wasn't easy. It lasted for years, off and on, until around 90, after they finished filming The Godfather Part 3. By then, Diane was ready to settle down. She wanted marriage, but Al didn't. Diane finally gave him an ultimatum. Either they get married or they break up. Al chose not to commit, and that ended their relationship for good. Still, Diane didn't look back in anger. In fact, she remembered their time together with deep affection. She described Al as charming, hilarious, a non-stop talker. She also said, "I was mad for him." She even spoke about how she felt about his looks, saying, comparing him to another famous actor she dated, she added, even though their relationship ended, they remained on friendly terms. In 2017, when Diane received the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award, Al Pacino paid tribute to her. He ended his speech with the words, "I love you forever." Their love didn't lead to marriage, but the feelings were clearly deep and lasting, choosing a different kind of life. Diane's relationships with Woody Allen and Al Pacino were meaningful and full of emotion, but neither led to a traditional ending. She didn't marry either of them or anyone else. Still, Diane didn't live a life without love. Instead of becoming someone's wife, she chose a different path. At the age of 50, she became a single mother. That was her own decision, and one she was proud of. She never followed the usual rules, and that's part of what made her so admired. Diane's love life wasn't simple, but it was real. Her romances were filled with passion, joy, and also sadness. With Woody, she found someone who truly understood her sense of humor and spirit. With Al, she found a kind of wild, deep love that made her feel alive. But in the end, she didn't need marriage to define her. She stayed true to herself. Diane once said about Pacino, "I worked hard on that one. I went about it in not a perfect way." That honesty is what made her so relatable. And even though she didn't get the ending most people dream of, her story still feels full. When Diane wrote her 2011 memoir, Then Again, she made her feelings clear. She wrote, "For me, the Godfathers, all three of them, were about one thing. Ow, it was as simple as that." Those words say a lot. They show how deeply she cared, even if things didn't go the way she hoped. Diane Keaton's story is not one of fairy tale romance, but it is full of love. Real, complicated, unforgettable love. Speaking of which, did you know that Diane Keaton's final well-known relationship was with one of Hollywood's most famous men, Warren Beatty? A short, passionate flame with Warren Beatty. The two met while working on the 1981 film Reds. Beatty not only starred in the movie, but he also wrote and directed it. Keaton earned an Oscar nomination for her performance, but behind the scenes, a real-life romance was happening. At the time, Beatty was known for being one of Hollywood's most charming playboys. The romance between him and Keaton didn't last long, but it left a mark. Diane had nothing but kind things to say about him. She said, "Not only was he beautiful, gorgeous, and sexy, and captivating, and mysterious, and a great movie star, but he was also an unbelievable producer and director." She had admired Beatty long before they met. In 2016, she talked about seeing him in the movie Splendor in the Grass back in 1961. She said, "I mean, come on. He was, to die for. A dream. Bonnie and Clyde. Come on." While their relationship ended shortly after the film wrapped, likely due to the many production issues that caused stress, they remained close. Even after the breakup, Keaton stayed friends with Beatty. From Woody Allen to Al Pacino to Warren Beatty, Diane's relationships were all very different. But one thing is clear, she had strong, passionate bonds with all three. And even though those romances didn't lead to marriage, she managed to stay on good terms with each of them. Rumors with Keanu Reeves and the 35-year dating drought. In 2003, Diane Keaton starred in Something's Gotta Give with actor Keanu Reeves. The two played romantic interests on screen. And soon after, rumors began to swirl that the romance continued off-screen. There were even reports that Keanu left his girlfriend at the time, Lynn Collins, for Keaton. In 2006, Diane appeared on Oprah and joked about Keanu, saying, "But the truth about their relationship has never been confirmed." Neither Keaton nor Reeves ever admitted they were together. So, it remains a mystery. Whether they dated or not, fans loved the idea. People still talk about their chemistry and hope it was real. But when asked about her dating life in 2018, Diane gave a very surprising answer. She said, "I haven't been on a date in, I would say, years. No dates." She even joked, "Let's just get that straight." That one's important. Her honesty shocked many. In a time where celebrities are always in the news for dating someone new, Diane was proudly standing on her own. In another interview, she laughed and said, "No one has ever asked me to marry them, so that might be a good answer. I should have started with that and called it a day." Her words made people smile, but they also showed her strong sense of independence. Diane remained resolute, even though others couldn't believe she hadn't been asked out. She would not join the herd at this moment, as she had never done before. Diane Keaton has been asked by several fans over the years why she chose not to tie the knot. She has expressed contrasting views on the subject. However, her mother is the one constant. Something Diane felt both proud and sad about was her mother's recent crowning as Mrs. Highland Park at a community gathering. Following that, Her mother devoted herself entirely to her family and abandoned her own aspirations. For young Diane, that was life-changing. Diane recounted the story of her mother in an interview with Lisa Kudrow. "It goes without saying that I love my dad, but she was constantly around and he was always working." According to her, she prioritized her family over her aspirations. "She was the most wonderful mother in the world, yet I blame her for the fact that I never tied the knot. I preferred to maintain my autonomy." A lesson was imparted to Diane by her mother's sacrifices. While she had admiration for her, she had no desire to emulate her lifestyle. Diane yearned to cling to her independence. A life dictated by her own terms was what she sought. Marriage brings happiness? That's a concept she has always scoffed at. "I don't think that being single has diminished the quality of my life," she stated in 2001. Discard that old maid urban legend. Proud of her decision, she stood tall. "I didn't want to give up my independence," reiterating her belief. In 22, marriage, according to Diane, would not have been a good fit for her. To paraphrase what she said, "I'm relieved that I didn't get married because I don't think it would have been wise." The uniqueness of her narrative is precisely its strength. Parenting after the age of 50. Despite Diane's inability to tie the knot, she managed to start a family of her own. She adopted her daughter Dexter in the 1990s, when she was 50 years old. She adopted her son Duke in 2001, 5 years after they were born. Being a mother altered her course of existence. According to Diane, she had never felt completely secure as a mother. That being a mother was something she never thought she would be ready for, she said. "The desire to become a mother was not something I could fight. It felt more like an idea I'd had for a long time. I thus dove head first." Following her father's passing, she made the decision to adopt. She reflected on her life, her purpose, and her desires more profoundly after that loss. Diane wholeheartedly accepted the unusual transition to motherhood at the age of 50. "The greatest decision I've ever made," she said, "was becoming a mother." According to her, it was the most humiliating event of her life. Diane is tight-lipped about who her children's biological parents are. Adopted at a young age were Dexter and Duke. Diane managed her professional and home responsibilities while raising her children alone. She provided a secure environment, lots of affection, and plenty of care. Thanks to her daughter Dexter's marriage to Jordan White, Diane will soon be a grandma. "Oh my God, yeah," was her response when questioned about it. "The thought of going through that is terrifying to me. Right now, my daughter Dexter and her husband aren't really talking about it. It's likely that I will adore the child." As soon as she thought about it, her face brightened with delight. There was a lot of love and heart on Diane's unconventional journey to parenthood. She devoted herself entirely to her children, even though she never had a husband. Her story exemplifies how love may take many forms. It can be friendly, parental, romantic, or any combination of the three. A tale of bravery, self-determination, and authenticity, Diane Keaton's life is an inspiration. The LGBTQ community was taken aback by her. In the worlds of fashion, movies, and real life, Diane Keaton has always been renowned for doing things her own way. However, her immense fan base within the LGBTQ community was something that even she was taken aback by. When informed that homosexual men adore the First Wives Club and hold her in high esteem, she was surprised during a 2018 interview. She asked, "Me?" while laughing. "Yeah, I didn't realize that." Still, she grinned and responded, "Oh, yeah, I know I was in it, but I'm not aware." In response to a question about the film, "Things don't seem to make sense to me. Perhaps there is something I am not seeing." This is encouraging news. She was very happy. She spoke clean about her decision to stop frequenting bars. "I'm boring," she remarked. "Excuse me, you should not feel bad about being genuine," the interviewer told the candidate. "All right," Diane said while laughing. Among lesbians, her distinctive clothes, hats, and daring ensembles have long been idolized. "I don't give tips to anybody, and I don't take tips either," she said in response to a question about whether she received or gave tips from her lesbian pals. "Simply put, it piques my attention." She went on to say that she keeps scrapbooks and cuts out outfit ideas from periodicals. It's her thing. She loves doing it on her own, without the assistance of stylists. She's charming in that way. She is authentic and never tries to change who she is. Maybe it's because she loves everyone and laughs at labels that she's so beloved. The subject of sexuality has provided Diane with many humorous moments. During one of Jennifer Aniston's parties, she mistakenly believed that Lena Dunham was a lesbian. It brought a chuckle to Diane's face. "Have I done it?" She called him stupid. Diane claimed she couldn't remember saying it, but she likely did say it. When asked whether that was her sole gaydar fail, "I hope she'll forgive me," she playfully suggested that maybe I was imbibing too much. According to Diane, she has had numerous gay pals throughout her life. Even as early as junior year of college, she had a few queer friends. In 1964, she recalled accompanying Bye Bye Birdie on a USO tour. She became close friends with one of the tour's homosexual men. Someone else approached her and asked, "Didn't you ever consider being his girlfriend?" With a chuckle, Diane recalled how she was aware he was gay and refused to do anything like that. She said, "I don't think so," when asked whether a lesbian had ever approached her. The interviewer made a joke about how disappointing that is. With a "well, maybe," Diane replied. She went on to say that she isn't the sort to frequent homosexual clubs or any bars, for that matter. To reiterate, she is uninteresting. On the other hand, the original Wives Club included her most famously lesbian on-screen scene. She and Bette Midler and Goldie Hawn's rendition of "You Don't Own Me" went viral among LGBT people. Yet Diane was completely unaware. According to her, this is her first hearing about it. She said, "Well, I'm sure that it's over. Who cares?" in response to a question about her feelings about the scene's sudden fame. But hearing that is pleasant. What makes her endearing is her modest demeanor. Regarding romantic relationships and dating, Diane Keaton has never hidden the fact that she is in a relationship. And let me tell you, she isn't into dating. "I don't recall anyone contacting me before this. This is so and so. I would like to take you out," she stated in an interview with AARP magazine on page 23. Of course not. They never occur. To clarify, she stated in 2019 to InStyle magazine, "Never, all right? Please, let us clarify that. I think that one is crucial. My last date was a long time ago. Without specific dates, I'd say 35 years. That she has several friends, including male friends, but no romantic relationships is something she clarified. No, she emphasized. Diane offered an open and honest response when People magazine asked her why she never tied the knot. According to her, she was content with her decision. "Really, I'm relieved that I didn't tie the knot because I don't think it would have been wise for me to do so. Something was missing for me. I'm an oddball," she continued. Diane recalled her younger self and her attraction to handsome, famous men. She recalled how, as a child, she longed to feel the affection of these remarkable people. Warren Beatty and Woody Allen were among the guys she dated. "I should not have let myself be so tempted by skill," she said in the end. Also, she should have met someone who was simply pleasant and caring, like a family person, she said. Additionally, Diane disclosed that she had never been asked to marry anyone. "That could be an excellent response," she said in jest. "That is where I should have begun and ended for the day." One of her unique selling points is her straightforward, caustic humor. Living fearlessly even now, Diane became a mother despite never having married or had a conventional family. She welcomed her son Duke into the world in 2001 and her daughter Dexter in 1996. Diane chose to become a single mother at the age of 50. Her father's death prompted profound introspection on her part. She began to ponder the greater concerns of life's meaning and purpose after that. According to her, she never imagined she would be ready to be a mother. "The desire to become a mother was not something I could fight. It felt more like an idea I'd had for a long time. Thus, I dove headfirst." Looking back, she realized that becoming a mother had a profound impact on her. "It's been the most humiliating thing that has ever happened to me." Diane has always been discreet about her personal life. Nobody knows who her children's biological parents are. That she raised them lovingly is all that is known. Provide them with a secure and joyful dwelling. Jordan White is the husband of her daughter Dexter at this time. The question of whether Diane is looking forward to becoming a grandma elicited a joyful response from Diane. "Ugh, sure. The thought of going through that is terrifying to me. It's likely that I will adore the child." Diane is not lonely at all, despite the fact that she hasn't dated in a long time. Meaning, joy, cherished memories, and loved ones abound in her life. She stays true to herself in all her endeavors, be it in the world of fashion, her family, or cinema. Yet she still gets a lot of respect for it. Is Diane Keaton's decision to remain unmarried and have a family later in life something you can get behind? Which of her famous roles or life events do you think she embodies best? Feel free to provide your opinions in the space provided. For more amazing tales from the intriguing past of Hollywood, make sure to subscribe, like, and stay tuned. Till we meet again.